A cozy, chill community hangout. We will have a list of wonderful speakers share their work. I am the current p5.js project lead at the Project Lead Foundation. The reason why I'm here is for the NYU ITP Project Fellowship.
Good news about the Earth. The bodies broken on the Trail of Tears and the bodies melted in Middle Passage are married to rock and ocean by now, and the mountain crumbling on white men, the waters pulling white men down, sing for red dust and black clay, good news about the Earth. I've invited 30 filmmakers working within African diasporic filmmaking to explore pottery as a metaphor that points towards the potential of free forms. Like pottery, film can be a vessel for expressing hopes, dreams, memories, and intentions. And invited filmmakers imagine these speculative containers for holding these expressions that are traced from the contours of Black existence. And I'm collaborating with my friend Mikhail to translate the filmmakers' drawings into these digitized forms. And what's beginning to emerge is this cross-diasporic, intergenerational, and this collective meditation and mediation on holding, an assemblage of the vessels of which their meaning is attained. And this piece is also becoming this archival depiction of contemporary Black being that extends beyond the frame. And in this work, I'm thinking a lot about the conditioned violences that is derived from the structure of the whole that I read earlier from Christina Sharp. And this work intends to emphasize the urgency for imagining generative possibilities of holding and being beholden to one another. Thank you.
Photographs in South India called the Studies in Film Studio Archives and Society. It's a website, installation, and series of prints thinking about the relationship between the individual and the collective, the personal and the anthropological, in relation to this photo archive. And so these two prints are composite images, and it belonged to Tipu Sultan in Mysore before it was taken by the British to London in 1799, and it's now in the Victoria and Albert Museum. And there's also, quote unquote, an authorized replica of Tipu's tiger in its original home in India, and I actually saw the replica about 10 years before even seeing the original. And so with this, I've been interested in how this object can be connected to other objects through different aspects like shared histories of provenance, visual similarities, and symbolism. I'm particularly interested in how the tiger and the lion are used as rhetoric animals for India and Britain.
It's kind of my ruminations on love, interdependence, and power. I was really depressed when I wrote it, and it was kind of like me trying to tell myself, like, what are the everyday kind of choices that I make that chooses life, and not in like a pro-life kind of way, but in a like what makes me want to be alive in my preciousness every day kind of thing. And so an excerpt that I will read is from the section on power. Power comes from a life force energy that we are all given. It is our birthright that expands when we make choices that affirms and chooses life. This relates back to my understanding of interdependence. This life force energy is not limited to what we understand as our lifetime. It expands, shapeshifts, reproduces in ways beyond our imagination. It is through memory encoded within genetics where we re-invoke this power. We are taught that we may only have power when we take it from others, that it is achieved through domination or oppression. But power can only exist and exponentially expand when it is shared. The mathematical equation where exponents are expressed as to the power of poetically articulates this in such a simple way. We can see this articulation of power in how our universe expands.
And the main project that I work on these days is called New Art City. So New Art.City is a virtual art space, and it started 3 years ago while I was an MFA student at San Jose State University. And my research questions were kind of like, how do we show digital art online? How do we uplift internet art to the standards of fine art? And personally, like, how do I make an impact and make like a positive contribution to the like global digital art community? on the homepage, there's like 170 exhibitions. We've shown over 4,000 artists, and what we really care about is like solving problems for digital artists. Like as a digital artist, like, and my team are artists, like we want to like make it easier. We want to make digital art more accessible, more inclusive, and like give people places to show their work.
Project that was a Sistina generator that also did a bunch of other really cool stuff. I also am working with someone called S.J. Zhang at the University of Chicago to really fulfill this amazing Mellon grant that we got at the Center for this is racialized, I'm gonna mess up this name, but it's this really cool center supporting Black life and Black legacy at the University of Chicago. But this is a browser extension that's also going to be developed by Nick. And this, what we sort of got out was specifically inspired by Simone Brown's Dark Matters and thinking through what happens when we have songs that kind of fool our watchers. So every time we come across something that's watching us on the internet, a song is going to play, and that song is going to be generated from the kind of vernacular web sounds of different places around the world, hopefully. Here I am sort of admitting this this contributors conference in 2019. I also carried through a lot of my leadership and just thinking about software in education with COSA, or Clinic for Open Source Arts, where I was a COSA conductor and did a lot of tutorials, like Intro to Twine in particular. And I also extended to the organization Netizen, also run by Nick Breeze and company, John Satra, a lot of other folks, very Chicago-based, where I just help and support those systems that gather people so that these spaces can happen. So I'm oftentimes adminning the discords.